Warning, this content may be disturbing to some audiences. Subscribe. If you dare.
My sister shook me awake at 2:30 a.m. saying, "Someone is trying to break into our apartment." Someone was. Hey everybody, welcome to ANECDOSED. People ask Reddit. What is the worst way you have ever been woken up?
Number 1.
Over the summer, I slept with a window fan on. I heard this weird noise one night. I went back to sleep. A few minutes later, the noise was louder. I turned on the light, and was horrified to discover that a bat had tried to fly through the fan. There was blood splattered everywhere, and the bat's mangled body was stuck in the fan's blades. I was too traumatized to sleep with a fan on anymore. So yes, that is the worst way I have ever been woken up. What is your story? I'm surprised by how many people have woken up in horrible ways. Just thought of another one. It was the first night of my freshman class trip to Chicago. I was rooming with 2 good friends and one person I didn't really like. Somehow, the person I didn't like wound up agreeing to sleep on the floor, while I got the queen bed to myself and the other 2 slept on the pullout. I had woken up at 4 a.m., it was 11 p.m. and I was exhausted. So I went to sleep. At around 3 a.m., I heard a noise. A loud noise, right next to my head. It was the annoying person's phone, inexplicably blasting Fireflies by Owl City. I turned it off. A few minutes later, it went back on. I mashed a few buttons and tried to go back to sleep. The third time it went off, I went into rage mode. In my sleep-deprived state, it seemed like a good idea to get up and put the phone in the bathtub, covering it completely with towels. I went back to sleep. At 6 a.m., I was awoken by a strange sensation on my face. I looked over. It was the annoying person, asleep, breathing right into my face. For some reason it was just really unnerving, especially after all the times I'd been woken up by her goddamn phone.
Number 2.
Commenter. A car accident. I was sleeping in the passenger seat and woke up looking at a shattered windshield and spitting out pieces of my front tooth. Person B. I had one of those too. I woke up, saw that I was in the bushes and tried to start the car to get it back on the road. Then when the car wouldn't start, and I wiped a bunch of blood off my face, I realized it was a little more serious. The bushes, as it turns out, were the tops of trees and the car was on top of a guardrail.
Number 3.
Commenter. This was when I was much younger. I had to get up for school, and my troll dad was getting tired of telling me to get out of bed every 5 minutes, so he told me he was getting a taser. My sleep mind correctly figured out that he was bullshitting, but didn't realize he was playing mind games. So he turns on his electric razor and touches it to my leg. I go flying, hit my head on the wall and call him things I'd never before said to his face. I love that effing bastard. Person B. I've had similar shit happen to me. My dad once burst into my room at 5 a.m., flipped on the fluorescent lights in my room, said "Oh God, a snake," and proceeded to wiggle a belt in my face and make hissing noises.
Number 4.
The cat was walking across the bed and stepped on my face near my eye with its back paw. As its paw started to slide down my cheek, it dug in with a claw and cut a long deep gouge in my skin. The scar that formed must have provided a weak point for a wrinkle to form, and I now have one long prominent wrinkle starting at the corner of my eye and running down my cheek.
Number 5.
My sister was trying to be sweet and wake me up with my little nephew. He was only 5 months old at the time. She had just fed him and hovered him over my face while saying, "Wake up, Becca, wake up." I opened my eyes and saw the cutest baby ever, who then proceeded to throw up all over me. It was white and goopy, and disgusting, dribbling down my neck. Worst. Ever.
Number 6.
Commenter. Occasionally, maybe once or twice a month, my fiancée will have a bad dream, and I will end up getting punched in the face, and kicked. She tends to flail her arms and legs when she has a bad dream. Oddly enough, she doesn't really wake up during this, but as soon as I go to get out of the bed, after getting smacked, she inevitably asks me where I am going, and to come back to bed and cuddle. Person B. My fiancé does this too, and it's worse when he drinks. I am 8.5 months pregnant and worry he might punch me in the stomach, so we can no longer cuddle until the baby is born and we have to fall asleep far apart. One time he actually had a dream he was in a fight and gave me 3 swift punches to the ass and left me with a hefty bruise. Person C. Thankfully I have never woken up to physical abuse, but I had a boyfriend once who threw me out of bed in a fit of fear, then ran into our ensuite and slammed the door. I woke up on the floor thinking, what the F did I do? Turns out in his dream I was eating his face. He felt terrible for throwing me out of bed. I felt terrible for eating his face.
Number 7.
Commenter. My sister shook me awake at 2:30 a.m. saying someone is trying to break into our apartment. Someone was. Person B. Well, we had just moved into this new apartment. Just my sister and I, but we felt relatively safe because the complex was brand new and the main entrance to the building has a number lock so not everyone can enter. However, as we were in the ground level, that doesn't stop people from having access to our bedroom and living room windows. My sister woke up when she heard someone attempting to break the screen off her bedroom window. She freaked out and ran into my room to tell me. By the time she woke me up and I had grabbed our bat, thank you, Dad, for making us take that with us, the guy had moved around the apartment, and was trying to get in through our living room window. This is the point when we should have realized this person wasn't trying to rob us, but in our half-asleep, half-terrified state, we didn't put two and two together. The guy was being loud. Banging on our windows, yelling stuff, then trying to pry our screens off. I had my sister call the police and they said they would send someone over. By the time the cops pulled up, the guy had woken up our neighbors who had come out to investigate. The cop pulls up and the neighbor invites the guy trying to break into our place into his apartment. The cop sees all this and goes and knocks on the neighbor's door. We see the cop and the loud dude come out of our neighbor's apartment and walk off with the cop and get into the cop car. And that was it. We waited up for over an hour waiting for a cop to come talk to us, explain what happened or call, but no one did. We called the police station the next day and they said it was a drunk guy who was confused on his way home from the bars. The cop gave him a ride home. By that, but we haven't had any other incidents since. I guess it may not sound scary, but for two girls living together in a new apartment it's like a nightmare.
Number 8.
I was 16 years old and my dad had brain cancer. Through the night his tumors had ruptured and his brain had bled so much that when my sister found him in the morning his eyes had almost popped out of his head and there was blood of course coming out of his mouth, nose, and ears as well. The sheer sight of seeing my dad like that was horrible, but it's the screams from my sister that still stick with me to this day. As soon as I heard her scream I woke up and I immediately knew that my dad had passed. I slowly walked to my father's room and hugged my sister. I dialed 911 and I couldn't say anything. The 911 dispatchers must have heard my sister screaming and traced the call to my address. I just remember sitting kneeling by his side and holding his hand thinking, this can't be the end. It just can't. The rest of that entire day and week I seriously can't remember at all. That was the hardest thing I think I've ever typed in my life. My hands won't stop shaking and it's the first time I've cried in a very long time.
Number 9.
I used to have a bedroom in the basement at the house I was living at. I woke up to the sound of running water, thinking it was someone in the shower above me. I went back to sleep. Woke up 5 minutes later to still hearing it. By this time I decided I should just get up. Swung my legs out of bed and they landed in about a foot of freezing cold water. Our basement had started to flood. I had been using my laptop before bed and set it on the floor when just before I went to sleep. Goodbye $600 laptop and cell phone that was charging off of it.
Number 10.
I've been awakened by the following. 1. An earthquake, twice. 2. Water pouring into my closet from a busted pipe. 3. A wild one. I quickly woke up as I distinctly remembered hearing a woman run by my apartment window, sobbing uncontrollably, get into and start a car, and tear out of the parking lot. I hopped out of bed and quickly put my clothes on heading towards the door thinking my girlfriend was in trouble, and was at my door looking for help as I slowly realized for that to be true, I would have needed to hear those noises, in reverse.
Number 11.
So my sister tried to commit suicide by hanging herself and she was found with severe lack of oxygen to the brain. She had been in ICU for a few weeks without much progress. One night I woke up to my dad quietly coming into my room, sitting on my bed, putting his hand on me and whimpering quietly. He never tried to wake me up, just wanted to be with me. It was that moment that I knew she had died.
Number 12.
Commenter. Woke up to a horde of people screaming. I seriously thought I had died, and I was falling into the pits of hell. As a teenager some of my youth group, 15 people, quietly snuck into my room, with the help of my parents, and on the count of 3 screamed my name at 6 a.m. I awoke with a racing heart in a state of delirium. Worst shit ever. I couldn't go back to sleep because the adrenaline was pumping so hard. They filmed it all and showed it to the youth group. Also, my dad stuck peanut butter in my ears once because I wouldn't get out of bed to go to school. Person B. My friend and I were driving, with our other friend in the backseat. She had dozed off. I tell my friend in a whisper, on 3. I'm going to slam on my brakes, and we both start screaming and yelling. We did it. Our friend in the back seat woke up, screaming, then teared up, then cried, then started sobbing uncontrollably. She cried for 10 minutes and really thought we were going to get in a car accident/die.
Number 13.
I slept through church when I was 16. So my youth pastor came over to my house to wake up/heckle me. He lived nearby, so it was not that weird to hear him downstairs talking to my mom. But then before I know it, he bursting into my room is shoving my mom's 3 chihuahuas under the covers of my bed and sealing up the edges so they could not escape, while simultaneously doing everything in his power to work them up. I was naked as the day I came into this world when all this went down.
Number 14.
When I received my first computer, back when having a nice set of speakers and a sub on a PC was new, I decided to test out the alarm application. I set it for early in the morning before school, and decided to use the opening theme of Star Wars. Turned the speakers all the way up. Going from dead asleep to wide awake instantly is a horrible feeling. It made my chest hurt for a few minutes.
Number 15.
A group of friends at university couldn't wake me up one day, so resorted to putting a piece of kitchen roll between my toes and setting it on fire. I woke up very fast and in a colossal bad mood. Suffice to say, I went somewhat apeshit.
Number 16.
A stranger broke in through the window of my living room and came into my room at 3 a.m. and started talking to me. At first I thought it was my roommate, and then I realized it was a stranger. My second and equally terrifying realization was that my 2 other roommates were out and I was alone with him. Make sure to share your personal story in the comments below and have the opportunity to be featured in a future video. Also, if you like these topics, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button to continue seeing more content like this every day. See you next time.